it's getting hot in here, so let me take off all my clothes. And
yeah,
that Nelly song was about Dyatlov Pass.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Welcome to Never Show the Monster. I'm Kelly Attaway.
I'm Chelsea Hollander.
And today we are talking about 2001 Maniacs, which is a movie about a bunch of co-eds who are on their way to Florida for spring break, but they get caught in a detour in Georgia that leads them to a small town that is still, I guess, fighting the Civil War. So get ready for stereotypes and racism.
Yeah.
I do have a question before we start talking about this movie.
I hope I have an answer.
Should we talk about your history with Eli Roth?
God damn it.
Who is a producer
A producer
of this movie.
and has a cameo in it.
I said, should we talk about him? Not we
can,
have
but
to
not
talk about him.
extensively. So when I was in my younger days, and I say younger days like it wasn't like the time that we were watching the weird movies and stuff, I went through a pretty big Eli Roth phase. And as you guys know, if you like, he has a great documentary on AMC, History of Horror, and like Cabin Fever's great. Yeah, like he's really great at talking about horror movies.
How does he do? What's his relationship to Cabin Fever? What
He's
did you say?
director.
Cabin Fever.
Yeah, Cabin Fever.
Of Cabin Fever
Of Cabin Fever
with the gentleman from
Boy Meets World.
No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe that's who's actually.
Are you thinking of
the
Cabin
movie.
in the Woods?
No, I love Cabin
Okay.
in the Woods.
I do love Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin Fever is with the young man who was in Breakfast Club, the rebel.
You're talking about Cabin by the Lake.
Okay, which one's Cabin Fever?
Yeah, that's how I got introduced to the rebel, and I was like, he is not cute. He has a bunch of women tied to the bottom of a lake. That's probably one of the first instances of me like really getting to know. Not horror. It was like a Lifetime thriller or something.
Wait.
Right?
Which one are you describing with women at the lake?
Cabin by the Lake?
That's Cabin. Okay. So which one
Cabin
is
by
Cabin
the
Fever?
Lake is with
Judd Nelson.
So Cabin by the Lake, and there's a Cabin by the Lake, Return to Cabin by the Lake, which I think also stars him. Oh, yeah, because it's set in a movie set.
He stars in it.
Yeah, both of them. Wait, are we talking about Cabin by the Lake or Cabin Fever? I can talk about Cabin by the Lake for a while.
I am... Which one is Eli Roth associated with?
Cabin Fever, which is I think a lot of people one of the things associated with it is the kid who runs out that yells pancakes at a gas station, but it's like where they all go to a cabin in the woods. You know how all those horror movies start, like Evil Dead and stuff.
Okay, so Ryder Strong is in this one.
That is correct.
I only remember that because for some reason I listened to an interview with Ryder Strong on a podcast, and I know that they made like a cast of his head for that movie.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. I did like Cabin Fever, but he also did Hostel and Hostel 2, which I do not love for the same reason for things that I'm going to talk about with this movie. But it makes sense that he was involved in this movie. All of this makes sense. And it was also around the time of Inglourious Basterds. So like...
This movie was around the time of Inglourious Basterds?
My phase.
Oh.
If we're talking about my phase.
Oh my God. Okay. I was like, that does not make sense.
It doesn't.
Hold on.
It definitely doesn't.
This is a 2005 movie, and Inglourious Basterds was what, 2011, 12?
2010 or 2011? 2009? 2010? 2011? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
know. Sometime around that time period that we're talking about. But fun fact, Eli Roth does a cameo in this movie, and he plays the exact same character in Cabin Fever.
Tell me more about
the same
that,
character.
because I missed him. I missed his
that's
cameo.
Weird because that's the only part that I remembered. At the end of this movie, I did remember that I watched the entire movie because I remembered the end. But I did watch the part with his cameo more than once. So that one I remembered very well. He is just like a hitchhiker.
Oh, he was the hitchhiker.
He was the hitchhiker. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
So now you're like, why did you have a phase? Why was he in that phase? And then I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But he did talk very like, I liked the way he talked about horror movies. And that's kind of like why I was drawn to him.
Yeah.
But he was very creepy online and talked to a bunch of ladies at one point, and there's a thing on the internet, and I don't want to talk about it.
I do remember you discovering this. These were like MySpace conversations, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember you discovering this.
I had
and that
sent
was
him
like,
MySpace messages, and he had responded, and he had given me very good horror movie recommendations.
yeah, that's dope. That's fine.
So, like, one of the movies he recommended is one of my favorite movies. And
which one was it?
Survive Style 5. It wasn't a horror movie, but it is. Do you remember? You remember E.T. the Killer?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I remember Survive Style 5.
That's the kind of movies I was watching at the time. And then he recommended that, and that is like a fucking feast for the eyes. Great movie. So, like, I like the way he talks about movies. The movies that he makes aren't my cup of tea, and I understand how they can be other people's cup of tea. I liked Cabin Fever. I feel like there was more, like, plot, less interesting kills.
Damn, Survive Style 5. Okay, Survive Style 5 came out before 2001 Maniacs and looks 1,000 times better.
Yeah, but 2001 Maniacs, you have to understand that it is. I am uncomfortably defending it for no reason, okay? They had a really low budget, and it is a remake, and this is something that I really want to, not remake, it is a reboot and
It's a requel.
sequel. Yeah.
It's a requel.
to Herschell Gordon Lewis's 2000 Maniacs. Do you guys remember Herschell Gordon Lewis? Do you remember? If you're listening to this, you might actually be a horror fan. You might actually know him outside of us talking about him before. But if you remember our episode of Color Me Blood Red, that was Herschell Gordon Lewis. If you remember how I felt about that, I think this movie did a great job because I felt the same way. And I said out loud after both of the movies, why did I just watch that?
Okay. Well, I'm trying to like put my experience in context of that. So I really liked Color Me Blood. I mean, I knew it was a bad movie. Don't get me wrong. It's a bad movie, but I enjoyed the experience of watching Color Me Blood Red, specifically because like the dialogue was crazy.
That's true. And you did
bleed
great
for the big man, little finger. like so stupid and fun. And like we're on the patio, daddy-o. Do you remember?
Yeah, that was the good parts. I remember when we talked about it, I liked the movie more, so I was so worried coming into this you would convince me to like this movie. But whenever you were like, "Oh, I didn't," and I was like, "Oh, thank
this is
God.
a bad movie. This is bad and does not have like fun characters."
I think this has a pretty good cast, at least with Robert Englund and Lynn Shay. Is that her name?
Oh, Granny?
Yeah, the two people that are like royalty. They're like horror movie royalty. So I mean, yeah, Lynn Shay. And I was like, oh, and I also like Giuseppe Andrews. So I was excited to see him as well. And
he was Harper, the hot son.
Yes. And the director of the movie directed one of my favorite movies. So then I went into it and I was like, maybe I won't hate it.
Who was the director and what was your favorite movie?
Or Tim Sullivan and Detroit Rock City.
You know, I've seen Detroit Rock City exactly once, and it was in your grandma's house with you.
Yeah.
John Connor is in that?
Yeah, that's completely accurate. Yeah.
Okay.
So same director. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should have put it aside. And then when both of us started watching it, I think we had the same reaction as to who the fuck cloned Val Kilmer.
Who the fuck cloned Val Kilmer? When you texted me that last night, I fully okay. So that was in my notes. I was like, we are dealing with a young Val, and I was like, my homework for myself today was to pull photos of young Val Kilmer because I really thought I was going to have to prove that I was right.
You didn't. I immediately
so when
was
you
like,
texted me, I was like,
has like a similar mole.
Yeah,
and I don't want to be weird about that, but he's
got
like,
the same
and
haircut.
The teeth?
He's got the same jawline. Yeah, exact same face.
And then he wears a cowboy hat, and I don't fully remember Val wearing a cowboy hat, but it feels like it fits.
He has, yeah, for sure.
And there are definitely outfits in it that I think are exact replicas of outfits I've seen Val photographed in.
I do think that Val is hunkier.
No, the name of this actor is Jay Gillespie, and I feel like he was trying to be Val in this movie.
Yeah,
which I appreciate the attempt. I appreciate it, sir. But, you know, Val just puts all of himself into every role he is in.
Yeah.
And you could just see Jay kind of holding back a little bit. And the thing that is upsetting to me about this, because honestly, when I saw this, I was like, well, maybe I need to watch his other movies because obviously I just need to see if he grows as an actor. And he doesn't have
See if
very
he
many
has a
movies
Kick
after
Bang
this.
Bang later.
That'd be great. See if he becomes a is he gonna win an Oscar? I don't know.
Did Val win an Oscar?
No. The documentary?
No, I mean, did Val Kilmer, the man, ever win an Oscar?
I don't think so. He was robbed.
He was robbed.
No,
if
he may
won
have.
for anything, it would have been
Tombstone.
Tombstone, yeah.
But yeah, Detroit Rock City, one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, this movie. Okay, I'm glad that you have something to anchor this actor or this director in, because I didn't. I was just like, I don't know if this movie is doing something. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, this movie is so problematic.
Yes.
But I can't tell if it's like intentionally putting that in front of us to be like, confront these ideas.
I would like for it to be that, but I do not think it is that.
But Robert Englund signed on, and he's not, like, he's cool, right?
I think he is, but he's also done some weird stuff. Oh, that's what I gasped out before we started recording. He is in a movie called Phantom of the Opera, but it's like a horror Phantom of the Opera.
Oh my God. Is it a musical?
A young drama horror music. Yes. What?
Because
a young soprano becomes an obsession of a horribly disfigured composer. This sounds just like normal.
Yeah, that's Phantom.
Who has plans for those who oppose him or the young singer. Yeah, this is just normal Phantom of the Opera, right?
Is normal Phantom of the Opera categorized as horror?
Wait, did somebody just like fuck with the cover of this and it's not really?
Paper faces on parade. Masquerade. Sorry, we talked in another episode about how I'm a theater kid.
Yeah.
Who's the gal? Who's Granny? What's her name?
Lin Shaye. But
Lin Shaye.
Her and Robert Englund have been together in many movies. And she's just in a ton of horror movies. But I think because it's kind of like I don't want to say a love letter, but it is like trying to, it is a love for Herschell Gordon Lewis. And I don't think that he has deeper thought past let's make things look gross.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is what this movie does.
This movie was at least funny.
That's generous.
Well, let me explain. Let me explain better. The plot, no, not funny. The characters, no, not funny. The practical effects for the deaths, pretty funny.
Pretty ridiculous. Yeah, pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. This movie really wanted to be Dead and Breakfast, right?
Oh my God, I thought the same thing. I was like, it's like Dead and Breakfast if it sucked ass.
Exactly. Like,
my God.
Do you remember the emotional roller coaster I went on watching Dead and Breakfast, where I started it and I was like, oh, this is going to be trash. Oh, this is going to be trash. Oh, this is going to be trash. And then at some point I was like, oh, I was wrong. It's the best movie ever.
Oh, this movie is perfect.
Was like, oh, this movie is going to be trash. And then at some point I was like, oh, it wants to be Dead and Breakfast. Maybe it's going to be good. No, so bad.
Is it when the banjos came out and the band started singing? I was like,
yes,
oh, maybe,
exactly.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's the exact same plot. Like groups of friends on a road trip. They get to a gas station. Suddenly, there's a band who's going to sing narrate. And you're like Dead and Breakfast, that elevates the movie. And this movie, no.
Yeah. How I felt about it, like how I described it in my head was probably like Midsommar meets Dead and Breakfast, and it's bad.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah,
that's how I saw it. And I was like, we can watch these two good movies, or we can watch this one really bad movie, which also has a sequel that has a lower rating than this movie.
Can you believe this has a sequel?
No.
How did this get a sequel?
So Robert Englund was also supposed to be in the sequel, and then they kept pushing out the date for shooting, and then they recasted him, and they didn't even tell him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why did he agree to do it? Why did he want to do it?
I don't know. Does he not agree? Is there anything he doesn't agree to?
I don't know.
I think he's one of those people. He's like Snoop Dogg. He'll do anything.
Have you seen the trailers for this new Snoop Dogg TV show? It looks like Snoop Dogg meets Blade.
Oh, Day Shift.
Day Shift.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whenever you said that, I was like, of course he has a trailer.
I'm hearing good things.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, like, you can say yes to everything, and probably a good percentage of what you do might be okay. Like,
I
that's
guess
how
that's
Robert
true.
Englund, Freddie, like, says yes to everything, has good things. Snoop Dogg saying yes to everything was on a song with Robin. You know how I love Robin. He's on a lot of songs with a lot of good people. He's also on a lot of songs with a lot of bad people. So what are you gonna do?
This is the flip side of you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You know,
50% of the shots at some point.
like if you're taking 100% of the shots, though, like you're gonna have some bad shots. Is the other side.
That's true. You're gonna have a couple 2001 Maniacs.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. We really should have just done Dead and Breakfast again. We talked about it as a possibility for this series.
Yeah. This is one that I out loud said. Can I say what I said out loud while I was watching the movie?
Please do.
I was sitting down and it was at one point I was like, I paused it and I said, oh my God, there's a half an hour left. Oh my God, how is there a half an hour left? And then after that, I said, this audio is atrocious. Dear God, how many times do I have to turn it all the way up to 100 and then turn it down to 20? How many times?
Once again, my projector saved me from an additional layer of bad experience.
That was so
I did have to turn
me.
it up to 100 and I was like, still not loud enough. But yeah, that meant that I just left it at 100 the whole time. I didn't have to
like, sometimes it gets a little quiet. It's just always, I had
I wonder how many listeners at home are like, yeah, you're describing your podcast. I have to turn it up and down 1,000 times throughout. Listeners, I am actively working on it. I'm actively working on improving that. Sorry, Hollywood, that I've been mad at you for this for so many years.
It's this Hollywood that made this movie. Do we want to throw that?
You think this was self-published?
So this was supposed to be shot in a town in California, but there was a fire near it, so they ended up having to shoot it in Georgia where it's set. And it has a very, very low budget from what I also read about it. I'm trying to think of all the fun facts. Weirdly enough, this movie didn't have a ton of fun facts, which it's the kind of movie I would expect to have a lot of them. It was basically like there's not a lot of money. Some of the crew members had to be in the background. But like Dead and Breakfast had like a million fun facts. Like,
but I think that it's because like everybody loved Dead and Breakfast. And so like after the fact,
people love
sought
this movie.
out the fun facts. People love this movie?
Yeah. I've also been reading a lot of, like, people love Herschell Gordon Lewis. People love movies where it's just like, here's a fun way to get murdered.
What was the IMDb rating for this?
5.3.
Damn, that's for sure higher than I thought it was going to be. What's the IMDb rating for Dead and Breakfast?
The sequel has like a 3.1. I don't know. Hold on, you're going to hear me type.
It was definitely in the 5s. I remember being disgruntled.
I'm going to be very upset if it's that. Oh my God, I don't know.
It was in the 5s, I think. I just remember being angry.
5.7.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
0.4 difference for a movie that's perfect.
Oh, people just didn't understand Dead and Breakfast. I think.
And that came out before 2001 Maniacs. Should have inspired
looked that up because I was like, I think that this movie really wanted to be Dead and Breakfast. Like, I think that Dead and Breakfast came out and they were like, we can do this too. Because, like, you just said it was 2004, right?
Yeah. 2004 when Dead and Breakfast
was 2005. Yeah. They wanted to be Dead and Breakfast.
Yeah.
They did not nail it. They did not nail it.
I know, but I don't want to be like in their defense. In my sadness, no, not sadness. I'm very happy. I'm very happy that Detroit Rock City got made. But that director ended up going on to do more things. Didn't we find out that the director for... Oh, no, he went on to do good things. Never mind. For Dead and Breakfast did go on to do some things.
Oh.
Not a ton of stuff.
It's because he, crushed it.
Yeah, he's done. I mean, after you make something perfect, why would you make anything else?
You can only go down from there,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Y'all, if you know how to find Dead and Breakfast, please write in at no show monster on Twitter or no show monster at gmail.com. This movie is like, I can't find it on the internet, and I am certain that if I, got back into torrenting, I could find it, but I, I can't today. So if you know where this is, please share it with us. Watch it. It's so fucking good. You're gonna put it on and you're gonna be like, oh no. Oh, Never Show the Monster misled us. But power through that feeling, and it's gonna
keep watching.
Reward you. Yeah, this is not about Dead and Breakfast. We did do an episode on that a while ago. It's not a very good episode, I don't think. We were very new at the podcast.
It was like our first third episode. It was Jeffrey Dean Morgan. We watched
it. Jeffrey Dean Morgan
I completely forgot that that's the reason we watched it. I was just like, did we just find like a golden movie on accident?
It was Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
And I was low-key hoping that would end up being this, because the last time we talked about this, I think after we finished recording, I was like, I'm kind of worried about watching this movie because we had been watching such light movies.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to another light one. And like, we chose this one because it is still a horror comedy. But it's not my comedy and it's not my horror either. So it didn't scratch any itches that made me feel good. And at the end of it, I did say, what?
Yeah.
Why?
This is more on the like slasher end of the spectrum. And I just don't love like a traditional slasher that's just like tits and blood,
And this was
tits
90%
and blood.
Tits and blood.
Yeah. Okay, I guess let's do it. I guess let's talk about the contents of the movie. Okay, so the movie starts with a college history class. There's a professor who like is weirdly sympathetic with the Confederacy. He like is into it.
That's part of why I don't think that this is trying to push a different agenda than like, I don't think it's trying to like bring anything out or put it in our faces.
I couldn't tell. Here's another reason why I couldn't tell. The end, when they go talk to the cop, he is like immediately depicted as like fucking traditional idiot cop. Like they walk into the sheriff's office like scared and like bleeding, and he like pulls out his gun straight away and is like waving it in their faces even while they're having a conversation. And then like, yeah, he goes on to like talk about like he glorifies the Confederacy.
Yep.
But I was like, but like, why wouldn't you depict him as like strong and smart and capable?
That's valid. But you say that. That's the thing. Like, I did not see him as being like a negative character. So I think that's where there's like I didn't see him as like a good guy, but he did have like,
not
at the
good.
end. It felt like it made it'll be something we talk about at the end.
Okay. This is not a good movie, so we're dragging our feet a little. Okay, so we open on this history lesson, and we meet our three main characters, who are three college students, dumb idiots. So we've got Anderson Lee, and I'm gonna call him Val in my notes for most of the movie. I do want to make sure that we recognize his name, though. Anderson Lee. Lee is like a, Civil War, etc. So that's the important part to the movie. Young Val Kilmer is who this is. And then we've got a character named Corey, and I'm just going to call him Glasses.
Oh, good. Okay, good. When you said that, I was like, which one of them is that?
No, I had to look up their names. Like, to be clear, this movie is very, very, very light on plot. We don't get character development or anything. So we've got Val, we've got Glasses, and then we've got Nelson, who has no characteristics for me to refer to him as. So I just called him Third Boy. Oh, did he have a puka shell necklace?
I don't think he did, but in my mind he did. Yeah.
Like vibe-wise, he for sure did. Okay, yeah. So they're just like dicking around in this class. And the professor, like I said, is like going on about the Confederacy, and he's not even American. Why does he have a boner?
Is
for
he
this?
British?
Whatever.
I didn't
This
notice he
doesn't matter.
wasn't
I think
American.
he's Swedish.
Oh, that's weird.
I looked him up because I recognized the actor.
Oh, what?
He's a character actor. I couldn't tell you his name. He's just been in everything we've ever seen. Yeah, and so he like makes them stay after class. It's spring break, so like the bell rings and everybody runs to go to Florida and get drunk and see boobs. And he makes the three boys stay after class, and he's like, "Hey, your term papers were shit. You have to rewrite them or I'm going to expel you," which like isn't how college works. You would just fail them. But don't stress out about that because it never comes back up. Yeah, so these three boys are taking a road trip to Daytona Beach in Florida, and they like have their dumb convertible, and they've got their armpit hair out, and they are just dudes being bros, and not bros in the way that Chelsea and I are bros. They are bros in the bad way. They stop on their way to get gas, and they meet the babes of the movie. So we've got another trio heading to Daytona Beach for spring break, and these are Joey, our main hot girl. And she's got like 3 feet of space between her belly button and the top of her jeans. And then we've got Kat, as in pussy, which is how she introduces herself.
Mhm.
And like Joey, who is like, I'm going to use this word, and the movie, I think, means it in a bad way. I don't. Joey is like a slut trope. She's a whore trope. But Kat, like, turns that up to 11.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
I thought you were talking about the male character for a second.
Oh, him too. So, yeah, the third hottie is a guy named Ricky, who is bisexual?
I think so. I don't
There's
know.
going to be a lot of, like, homophobia.
Yeah,
around
for sure.
this character.
And there's a questionable scene that makes no sense in the movie, and I'm not excited to get to it. I don't know if we're going to talk about
I don't have it in my notes. When she touches his wiener?
No, I was going to talk
Oh.
about the fact that there was like an entire scene where he had to go, like he had to go have sex with a guy. One of the guys had to have
and
sex
he
with
just
him.
is like doing push-ups.
And he was like, I'll go do it. And then it's like part of the ritual, but I don't know why it's part of the ritual. It makes no sense.
Oh, no, nothing in this movie.
It's just to make fun of someone for wanting to have sex with
I
another
have
man.
an idea about that.
Okay, good, because it went over my head.
Oh, no, I don't think it did. I think that I'm reaching. So,
Okay,
in this movie, they are just to spoil it a little bit, like we're going to get to this town in Georgia, and they are like Southerners through and through. And they like fully use sex to lure people. So like we kill Kat in a sexy way. Not
is it sexy?
No, but you know what I mean. Like
this happens in the Herschell Gordon Lewis 2000 Maniacs.
Sex in order to get her to her death. And I think that they were trying to do that with Ricky, but the son like couldn't get it up for Ricky. And so that death was like Ricky and the son and Robert Englund's son, who was meant to seduce Ricky, like couldn't do it with a man. That's why he's like doing push-ups and like trying to psych himself up.
He like jumped at it. And he was like, you don't have to be so excited about it.
But I think he jumped at it to like please his dad, not because he was horny for the man.
I don't know.
Well, then why didn't he do it?
He did. He was the bottom.
Oh, I guess I missed that.
Yeah, that's why he like patted him. Like in the morning, they had an entire like making fun of him for being the bottom.
Yep, missed all of that.
Yeah.
I thought there were just so many cutaways of the kid, like not that he's a child, like
he's an adult.
One of the only non-problematic things about this movie is that the ages all line up, but like I don't know, I just saw him like doing push-ups and then like talking about the flag and Ricky just looking bored. Yeah, so I guess I totally missed them having sex. Okay.
They didn't show that scene actually happening. It's just in the morning they talked about it.
Okay. Well, then my theory about them trying to kill people sexily does
That's
not
why I didn't
make
understand that
sense.
scene,
Yep.
because I was like, that's exactly what happened.
Okay, then I don't know.
Why does
Um,
that?
yeah, so it's at this gas station where we meet the hot trio that like gives the dead and breakfast vibes. Like this is where like suddenly there's a kid at the gas station playing banjo and Puka Shells goes over to play with him and there's like a the gas station attendant is like saying ominous shit, which is
Just like in
very
Dead and
similar to
Breakfast?
Dead and Breakfast. And then there's like this is where we see some like musical narration. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, Dead and Breakfast? But no, don't get your hopes up. It's a total fake out. So they keep driving and they like get lost. I don't know. I don't know. Nobody wants to read a map. Nobody knows how to read a map. I don't know. They get lost and end up sleeping in the car. When they wake up, they like the reason they stopped that night was because the driver encountered a detour sign. Big detour sign in the middle of the highway. They follow the detour and they enter a town called Pleasant Valley. And it appears to be a ghost town. Like it looks fake, right?
Yep.
But then as they're like driving through, the whole town comes out to greet them. It's everybody. It's everybody, including the mayor. And it looks like the 4th of July. Like I know that this is a spring break movie, but this looks like the 4th of July.
And I think that's why we chose it, right? Is because it was a celebration and it was supposed to be like the 4th of July.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what the celebration is on this. It's like the Guts Glory something.
Yeah, it's the Guts and Glory Jubilee.
That's it, Jubilee. Guts and Glory Jubilee. So that's our
Guts and Glory
celebration in this
Jubilee.
episode.
Yeah, and Robert Englund is here. He's the mayor. He's got an eye patch with the Confederate flag on it. And they are like introducing themselves to our group of boys and like visibly react to the name Anderson Lee, which is why I made sure to say it earlier. He explains that he grew up Southern and only went to the North for college, which is where he met these other Yankee friends of his. And then, like, right behind their car, the babes show up. And then, in addition to them, a couple on a motorcycle that we have not met yet also show up. And their names are Malcolm, and he's a black man. And that is important to the plot. And her name is Leah, and she's Chinese, which is important to the plot. And everybody agrees to stay in this town, even though it's like super weird. And Robert Englund fully refers to, I'm going to say some words that I don't love or like. I don't like saying these words, but this is a quote from the movie. Malcolm and Leah show up, and Robert Englund refers to them as a Negro and a Chinaman.
Mm-hmm. And then
she says like, China woman. Like, that's not where my problem was.
Yeah, not good. So we're getting started. The movie just started. This is within like the first 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is the beginning of the movie.
So we're getting off on the complete wrong foot.
Yeah, it was at this point that I was like, I maybe don't want to do this movie. Like, maybe we strike this from the list. We're carrying on. The rest of the movie, though, is just essentially the town like conspiring against our spring breakers and killing them off one by one. Like, not a lot of plot, just a lot of murders. So the first one to go is Cat. You remember, as in pussy. Robert Englund deploys his hottest son to like woo her, and his name is, what's his name? Harper, and he's like
he's like attractive in the way that I find people attractive, but he's not conventionally attractive. I would not have said that he is the most attractive, but I guess in that southern town where everyone's...
so you'd prefer the one who's sleeping with the goat, the sheep,
Oh,
Jezebel?
for sure. No, I'm just kidding. No, I would prefer him. He is the one that I would be attracted to, but it's also like the bar is very low there because it seems like there's a lot of inbreeding.
Yes. So a hottest son, he's not like, he's no Val.
He is played by Giuseppe Andrews, So he is somebody that I personally had a crush on when I watched Detroit Rock City. So
He was in Detroit Rock City?
yes, he was. And he had a pizza on his face. And I think he ended up with Natasha Lyonne.
Oh,
Or
love
they ended up
her.
having a kiss. I don't remember. But I remember there being something like good vibe in between those two. But I loved him in that movie. So I had a tiny face with him. God, I had a lot of faces that that happened. So like when I watched this movie, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But in general, I don't think that he is somebody that girls are like, I'm gonna put a poster of him on my wall.
No, he's not a stud. Here's how he stands out. Like the other sons are
He showered.
he showered. Like the other sons are hicks, and this guy rolls in as like Southern gentleman. So he's like, "Oh, well, I'm so impressed by you, Miss Pussycat. You're just the prettiest gal I ever did see. We here in the South are not as forward as you Yankees are." Like he's very like aw shucks, and she's very quick to stick her hand in his pants. Just like super fast, immediately. And he takes her to a stable to have a literal roll in the hay, and like takes out a blindfold, and she's like, "Ooh, kinky," and lets him tie her eyes and then limbs. And when she takes the blindfold off, she has been tied to horses. She is being quartered, old fashioned style. And this was so fucking funny. Like the horses run, right? He like whips them and they run, and her limbs pop off. But the funniest part to me was that like her whole right side got popped off, like right arm, right leg got popped off. And then somehow her torso stays stationary
in the exact spot and doesn't move at all.
And her left limbs get torn off. So like, what the fuck?
It makes sense logically. This is also a throwback to 2000 Maniacs. This was a kill that they did in the original. I did kind of go through it prior to this. They had some fun kills in that were different from the ones in this movie, but this movie definitely had more, obviously coming out in 1964 as opposed to 2005.
Yeah.
The kills here are a little more, but there were some that I think in the first movie it was more like carnival games almost, less so.
Oh, okay.
What we've got here, where it's just trying to figure out different things. He does later make a joke about it, and I remember thinking that was the only funny joke. But he was talking to somebody. He was saying something, and he said she had been quartered, but he kept talking, so it didn't seem like he said quartered. Oh, he quartered.
Oh.
He courted her.
He courted her.
And I was like, oh. But he said he's like, he courted her. And the way you say it in a Southern accent, it sounds like he courted her. So he said he courted her. And I was like, that was smart. That is probably the only part of this movie I'm going to give a little bit of a tip of the hat to.
I almost wonder if you're doing that and not the movie.
Oh God, maybe. I'm making it smarter than it is. But I think feel
maybe
like he had to
did
have.
that.
Oh no.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't catch that. That's very funny. So props to you or the movie. I don't know.
Props to someone.
Yeah, so the physics here are very funny, and the rest of the gang, I don't know, are just going about their day. They're hanging out in town and with the townsfolk and with each other, and they end up having dinner at the mayor's wife's house. And this is, what's her name? The actor?
Lin Shaye.
Her name is Granny Boone. I'm just going to call her Granny. And she has like made this beautiful spread for them to eat. And as they are eating, I think it's Ricky. Ricky like gestures with his food on his fork, and we see Kat's tramp stamp on the food he's eating. So the town is killing and eating our spring breakers.
Yep.
Yeah, all of our co-eds are just like hanging around in like Granny's house. Yeah. And like people are pairing off, right? Because it's like we said, tits and blood. That's what's happening here. So young Val and Joey hook up on a bearskin rug. So good for them. And Malcolm and Leah, they were already a couple. So they go up to their room and they have like eccentric sex.
Yeah.
Like Dom style. Did they have swords? Am I remembering that right? Whips, maybe? Yeah,
with the
I don't know.
sticks, not like a whip that has like a tail, but like the ones with the little like folded thing.
So they just had those in their like saddlebags on the motorcycle?
I think so. I mean, you got to prioritize what you're taking with you.
Yeah, I mean, when I travel light, I'm like, number 1.
Maybe they found it in the drawers.
Dildo? Number 2. Whip.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, tennis shoes. I'm gonna be doing walking, sightseeing. Yeah, so they're having a good time. Great for them. And okay, so this is the part where you say that one of Robert Englund's sons successfully has sex with Ricky.
I don't want to talk about what they described it as. I think when Robert Englund described it, he's like, somebody has to get cornholed by someone.
Yeah, cornhole is the word I was
trying to avoid.
I don't love that word.
It's very not ideal in this.
And this is not the worst part. We're going to have to describe something worse soon.
Okay. I really didn't like this scene. This scene actually made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then Nelson has been like ogling a milkmaid in town all night. Nelson Pucashells. I don't know why there's a milkmaid. Milkmaids scream like Heidi, Sweden to me, not the South, but she's here nonetheless. And she comes into his room that night. Oh, he was like fully naked and like
humping
the pillow. Yeah. And she comes in and like strips immediately, very frilly undies. Cute. Mm-hmm. Like straddles him, and she's got her like milk jug, but it's not full of milk this time. It's full of, I guess, acid. She tells him it's moonshine, and like shoves a like tube into his mouth, like as though you are trying to siphon gas out of somebody's gas tank in their car. It's a tube, and he starts drinking, continues to drink, but it's like fully acid, and it like dissolves his torso and burns through the bed, and it's like smoking, and she is like riding him this whole time, not intercourse, just like hopping up and down in her panties, very
dry
excited.
Humping, I would say
dry humping. Yeah. So it's smoking, right? The mattress is smoking. There's a hole burned through the mattress. It's smoking. The camera is suddenly under the mattress, looking up at her face as she peers through the hole in the mattress. And she says, "I prefer a non-smoker."
I didn't even remember that part.
This movie.
Okay.
Yikes to do.
There is a joke in it, and that joke, there is one joke that I was like, this movie's not funny. Do you know what joke I'm talking about?
Okay, hold on. You're describing a joke, but the movie's not funny. Okay.
I don't think we're going to talk about it in the plot because it has nothing to do with the plot.
Is it when Malcolm says, "I don't even like crackers in my soup"?
What? Oh, that was a funny joke.
That's funny.
No, that was an actual funny one. But there was one about, like, Robert Englund is like, I assumed a fart or something, and I shit myself.
Yeah. Yes.
And that was like, I was like, man, that joke is too, no. And it didn't make sense in that scene. And I was just like,
yeah. Was it assume or was it trust?
Trust. It was trust. Thank you. I was trying to remember the line multiple times today, and I was like, what is the
He was like, I trusted
word?
A fart once, and I
shit myself.
And I shit myself. Yeah.
It didn't make... I don't know if it had to do with actually trusting something. I have no idea why.
I definitely remember my feelings watching that scene, which was essentially, oh, that was a stretch. Like, oh, we're really reaching for this one.
I was like, you knew that joke prior going into the movie, and you were like, I have to write this in somewhere.
Right. Like, you built the dialogue around wanting to say this.
Yeah, but it wasn't worth saying.
No, it was not worth it. Not at all. Oh God, yeah. Okay, so now Kat is dead and Puka Shells is dead, and the next day the group is like starting to notice. They're like, "Huh, where are they?" But they assume that the two of them hooked up, and I guess that this is where the I quartered her line happens.
No, he said that Puka Shells quartered her, and they ran off together.
Oh yeah.
He said that
He said I
courted
was
her.
trying to court her. I courted her like a Southern gentleman, but Nelson won out.
I think
Something.
No, it was like a multi-part joke that I thought was really good because the next part he said, but they ran off in different directions or something. Like
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, he said something that like made sense for the quartering. So I think all of it was a joke.
one good joke in the movie.
And I thought it was very smart. And I was like, good.
One good joke in the movie that is maybe just Chelsea writing a good joke and not the movie.
I think it was the movie. I think it was intentional, and I'm going to give it that. I have not very many good things to say about this movie, but I will give it that.
So yeah, it's next morning, but everybody's like pretty casual, even though their friends are missing. And Anderson Lee, young Val Kilmer, and Malcolm and Ricky are playing horseshoes with the hot sun, and the stakes against which they're throwing their horseshoes are topped with the decapitated heads of Nelson and Kat.
Kitty. Oh.
Okay. Yeah, Kitty. And they just like fully don't. It's like they're facing away from them, so they're like, whatever. It's fine.
But it looks like heads. It looks like heads. It's not even like kind heads. Of not heads.
Yeah, it's fully heads.
Even if I'm drunk, I'm like, that looks kind of like a head.
Yeah, those are heads. And they explain it away by saying like, oh, it's mink or something. Like that. I don't know. That's not how you play horseshoes. Minks look
like that?
Why would you?
They don't
and
look like
why
that.
Why are we bringing fabric into horseshoes?
Is mink in the South? Is mink the name of an animal, or is it the name of the fabric that comes from the animal?
That is a great question.
What animal is mink?
It looks related to
like
a ferret.
Ferret. Yeah. Okay, so mink is an animal, and it looks like a ferret.
Is it extinct?
But it doesn't at all look like long hair.
Okay, but to their credit, we didn't know what a mink was. Fuck. And we have the internet. They're 2005.
They had flip phones.
Yeah, do you remember the oh my god, I don't remember this enough to come up with names. Do you remember there used to be like a phone number that you could text with a question, and on the other end they would essentially Google it and then they would return you the answer?
I know what you're talking about.
Was it called like Genius or something?
Cha-cha.
Yeah.
242-242.
Yeah. I feel like I just
went back in time.
Something. Yeah.
Are you saying we need to text Cha-cha? I wish I had my old phone with the text on it so I could look back at what I cha-cha'd at the time.
But it wasn't an app. It was just a
text line.
It was just a phone number.
Good times.
Cha-cha. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Good times.
Yeah, they should have cha-cha'd this.
I feel like cha-cha was a thing that you were like, hey, what are you wearing? And they're like, my cha-cha pants. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, it was like the next evolution of AOL. But like, do you remember Smarter Child on AIM?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was Smarter Child, Cha-cha, Dolly.
What? Like the llama?
No.
What?
Do you remember those horrible photos I sent you?
Oh, you're talking about AI. It's too good. If you put in the correct words, it outputs some good ass shit, and I don't.
It really does. However, I kept trying to get it to generate Elon Musk getting a wedgie, and it would not generate.
You have to tell it what style you wanted.
I did. I tried everything.
In the style of Van Gogh?
I tried photorealistic. I tried Dali. I tried photorealistic. Did I already say that? I tried Van Gogh. I tried Van Gogh. I tried Picasso. I tried like comic. I tried like
I tried Frida Kahlo. Did you try Frida Kahlo?
You know, I don't think I tried Frida.
That's probably where you went wrong.
Any style. I just wanted something recognizable as Elon Musk getting a wedgie. That's all I wanted. And I could not get there.
I wonder if you gave more descriptors.
Oh, I tried like Elon Musk as high school student in hallway getting wedgie near lockers. Like I tried so many things.
We'll figure it out. One day we'll figure it out. One of our listeners is smarter than us. I'm sure most of them might be.
Yeah, if you can do it, please generate it and send me the photos. Tweet me at NoShowMonster.
Or if you have an actual picture of Elon Musk getting a wedgie, we would prefer that. But
oh, that would be great.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Back to this wretched movie. Yeah, so they're playing horseshoes, don't realize it's their friends' dead heads. So, yeah, Granny has separated the gals. She's like weirdly bathing Joey and Leah out in the woods. And the sing narrators are there.
Sure, why not?
And also Hucklebilly, who we haven't talked about, but there's like this one weird southern kid who was like trying to kill a cat in the beginning of the movie. And
a cat, not the woman.
Thank you. Yes, a literal cat. Oh, was that foreshadowing? Trying to kill the cat? Was it before or after?
No, I think it was just trying to get across that they were not good.
God damn it. Am I going to watch this movie again?
Don't. For the love of everything, don't.
So anyway, yeah, we're bathing the girls, and then we move on to like dressing up Leah in like a Southern Belle dress, and Joey just puts on her low-rise jeans again, and she's like, I gotta go find Val, because obviously, and Leah is playing along, and Granny is like singing a song, and she's referring to Leah as like a China doll. Like it's very infantilizing and racist, and she ends up like she's singing the song, and it's like weirdly escalating, and we get to the line, "Little China doll, ain't you sweet? I reckon you'll make a tasty treat." And Leah is like, "Wait, what?" But she's already been like brought up onto this weird like platform beneath a giant bell. I guess that's supposed to represent like the Liberty Bell.
I was gonna say Southern Belle. I don't know.
Oh, Southern Belle. No, that makes more sense. It's like Southern. Oh my God. This fucking movie. I swear to God. So she's below this bell, and Granny like pulls a lever or cuts a rope or whatever and drops the bell on top of Leah, and it like splatters her and blood goes everywhere. But before the bell drops, a group of other Southern belles pull out their little like parasols to protect their faces and their garments from the blood splatter. And then after the blood splatters, Granny says, "That China woman sure has a lot of guts."
Yeah, bad joke.
So, my God.
So bad.
Oh my God. Okay. And Ricky like witnessed this happening. So the town then like surrounds him and grabs him. And this is the scene that Chelsea and I don't want to describe. So they kill him.
If you've seen Cannibal Holocaust, it happens in that.
It also happens in the Roanoke season of American Horror Story.
Oh, I forgot that. I really liked that season.
Oh, I really hated that season. I think that was the season that I was like, I don't think I can watch this anymore.
I feel like Hotel had the bad scene.
Hotel was definitely more upsetting.
Yeah, there was like a really bad scene really early on. I didn't watch Freak Show. I did watch the seasons after Freak Show, but I skipped Freak Show.
I liked those early seasons. Yeah, Murder House I liked. The Asylum one I liked.
I didn't like Heaven originally, but when I re-watched it, I did like it.
It was like campy. I liked that. And then I was watching it out of obligation. And then yeah, Hotel really, really upset me, but Lady Gaga fucking
Yeah, she
crushed
did
it.
great.
And little Blondes McGee, what's his name? I like him.
The one who plays Tate in the first one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Evan Peters.
Yeah, he's great. I like him. He
Why
did
is
a
it
great
so
job in
hard for
Hotel,
me?
too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, whatever. No. Can't wait to cut that out.
It's more fun to talk about American Horror Story than it is to talk about this fucking movie.
I know this movie sucks. Okay. So Ricky witnesses Leah's death, and then the thing that we are talking around is that they skewer him. They ram a thing up one end of him and out of his mouth, and it's homophobic. It's like, oh, he's gay. Let's put it up his butt.
Yep. At the end,
When Granny licks the blood off,
like the thing, and I was like, I thought my first thought was like, that's not really sanitary, and from the area it went in, there's probably fecal matter on it, and I was like, why? No, that doesn't. They're eating people. Stop it.
No, but exactly. I was like, never go ass to mouth. Like, what do you do? Which I know is like, I know that we as millennials are all eating ass in the year of our Lord 2022. So who am I to judge Granny? But I was definitely like, that's poops.
Yep. It's like, ooh.
Poops. And also you just murdered a guy. Yeah. So so you'll remember Joey just left. She just abandoned Leah to her death. And so she joins up with Malcolm and young Val and Glasses at like the town pub. And they are finally like, shit is weird. We should leave. Like right now. Nobody say anything to the town. Let's all pretend that we're just like gonna chill for the Jubilee. But then like right then the whole town surrounds them and they're like, we heard y'all been thinking about leaving. Because when Joey was on her way to meet up with the boys, she ran into Peaches, who is a character we haven't described yet, but she is one of the Hicks and she wears the tiniest clothing.
She kind of looks like a little fairy.
Yeah, she's like a little fairy. Yeah. But like redneck, like a little redneck fairy. And she was like really menacing to Joey, and Joey was like, well, we're gonna leave. And Peaches is like, y'all better not. And Joey leaves anyway. And this is so as Joey's leaving, Peaches has like zombie veins.
Yeah.
Up her face.
This is the only time that it's kind of like,
this is the first hint of zombie in the movie.
There is another part that might be another hint of zombie, but it's not really addressed.
There was another hint about this?
At the end.
No, but I mean, this is the first hint in the movie.
Yeah. Agreed. Like, first hint.
Halfway through the movie, this is our first, like, wait, what?
I personally think that should have been just completely left out of it because it was not.
No, nothing. So this is a supernatural movie and none of that makes sense. None of that makes sense. So yeah, we saw her weird zombie veins and she narked. She went and told Robert Englund and the rest of the town. And fortunately, young Val is very charming. And so he like talks them into letting them stay. He's like, no, we're going to stay for the Jubilee. Like, this is just a misunderstanding. And they're like, okay, chill. So why don't y'all go get ready for the Jubilee? And they like let them leave the bar and walk through town. But it like as they're walking through town, it's very ominous. Like everybody is just coming out of their doors and like watching them. And there's like very on the nose, a guy assembling a coffin, like slowly hammering a nail into the coffin and like leering at them.
It said something like Philip's coffins or Gary's coffins above it, though. I appreciated that part because I thought I was like, good, okay.
That's especially funny if it's like Gary's.
Yeah,
like not even like stupid. Joseph's, like not something that you'd see in the 1800s. It was definitely a
dumb. I was like, well, okay.
So while they're leaving, Robert Englund does like a pep talk to the town in the bar. And he's like promising them that one day they will find peace and that all you searching souls will never go hungry again. And this is not the first Gone with the Wind reference in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Whenever What's-Her-Face gets quartered, he says, I don't give a damn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're just doubling down on that. And so our like group of co-eds split up like fucking idiots. And Malcolm goes off into the woods alone, and the weird singing narrators are following him. And this is where he says, I don't even like crackers in my soup. And the narrators are singing like the South will rise again. Like they're not good. They're menacing here. And the town surrounds him and knocks him out. And he wakes up. Oh my God. He wakes up strapped down on like a pedestal in a pavilion,
Laying on cotton.
literally laying on cotton.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not like a cotton sheet, like cotton that you would pick. Like, this is
super racist.
Yeah.
There are also Black people in the town.
Yeah, there are Black people in the town, and there's a lot of like, yes, sir. No, sir.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
are
know
not.
nothing
It's
about.
not good.
When
not good.
Malcolm enters the first house in Pleasant Valley, one of the Black people in town offers him a plate of watermelon. Like, it's
pretty bad.
Not good. It is not good. And this pedestal he's on is like, I don't know, this is just this pavilion is like a giant squeeze pavilion, I guess. So he's like, it's like a giant garrote, I guess. He's like got straps around him, and they are like turning a crank, and it just like squeezes him. It just squeezes him until his eyeballs pop out. And again, the practical effects, very funny. Very funny. It's just the rest of the movie, you know? It's just the rest of the movie that I have a problem with. Yeah, so while that is happening, Glasses and Joey go to collect like everybody's things out of the house, and she is standing guard while Glasses goes upstairs. And what Glasses finds is Peaches in his room with his cell phone, and she seduces him. And while she is about to go down on him, he makes a joke like, oh, you're spending so much time. Like, what are you doing? Putting in your retainer? And she's like, yeah, something like that. And when she pulls her head up, she's wearing like prosthetic teeth. She's wearing like chompers, like fang, like metal fang chompers. Oh, and then she chomps off his wiener.
Yeah.
And he dies. I was so focused on like the logistics of how to make them that I forgot how she used them.
Who's still alive at this point? Just Joey and Val?
Joey and Val, yeah. So Joey just while she was standing guard, see, this is exactly what happened in Happy Death Day. Joey was standing guard, but had not cleared the room.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Glasses went up there, got his wiener chomped. Joey downstairs, just poking around, and finds like a cabinet of jars with like hands and eyes and body parts in them, all labeled for past jubilees going back to the 1800s. And then she gets captured. And while all this is happening, young Val is off trying to find their cars, and he like thinks that he sees Ricky through the kitchen window, so he goes poking around in there, and he did see Ricky,
but he's dead
Ricky. And he's like confronted by some people who work in the kitchen, and they're like, it's rude to be in here. And we see like through a closing door, Ricky is hanging in what is essentially a meat locker. It's not just him. We see other body parts hanging. You know, we learned earlier, we're feasting on these corpses. So they're like, hey, your car is parked over by the barn. You know, you keep the horses in the barn. You transport yourself on the horses. So obviously that's where you put the cars too.
That's some logic that I didn't think about. But yeah.
I mean, motorcycle, horse, barn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Anderson Lee / young Val goes to the barn, finds the motorcycle, no keys though. And he's like, I don't know, he wants to get away from here. And then young Hucklebilly, the weird kid who was trying to kill a cat, not pussy cat, literal cat, pops out. He's got the keys. he's not going to cooperate with young Val. Instead, he slingshots Val in the face, knocks him out. And then Val and Joey wake up restrained at the Jubilee. It's finally the actual Jubilee. There's like a bonfire, there's a buffet, and the minstrels are here singing again. The South will rise again, obviously. And Robert England, the mayor, starts like lifting the cloches on the serving platters on the buffet, and it's just their heads being revealed one at a time. And Leah's head is there. And you'll remember, she's Chinese. And he pulls out chopsticks and picks at her head. It takes a bite. And he says, y'all might be surprised to learn this, but I've always been partial to Chinese food. Only problem is, an hour later, I'm still hungry. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
This fucking movie. Okay, so Robert England then goes on. He offers young Val, I'll spare you. Like, you grew up in the South. You can still be saved. You're a rebel at heart. I will spare you if you kill Joey. So he like gives him a big like cleaver and releases him from his ties. And he goes over to Joey. He holds the knife to her neck, and the whole town is like surrounding them, and they're just chanting, kill her, kill her, kill her. And he throws the knife at one of the sons, who doesn't fall, right? Because I guess these are undead.
Yeah.
And he like Anderson is like, let's go, let's run. And the town is like surrounding them, and their voices are distorted, like demonic style. And Robert England like stops the town from attacking them, and he's like, no, they're mine. And he challenges Val to a duel. And he promises to let them go if Val wins.
Gentleman to gentleman.
Gentleman to gentleman. So they start this duel, and it's stupid. Like,
Super stupid.
We're jumping over the bonfire, and Robert England has his like precious Civil War era sword, and young Val just has one of the cloches from the serving platters, and he loses that at some point. And then he has the head of, I think it's puka shells.
I think it's puka shells. I tried to figure that out.
Yeah. I think it's Nelson, and he's using that to defend himself. And Robert England like swords Nelson in the face, and I don't know. It's just a long tussle, and at some point, Val like pulls off Robert England's eye patch, and maggots start falling out of it onto Val, and then he like gets like a serving fork and holds it to Robert England's good eye, and Robert England is like, no, not my good eye. Like, oh god. And that's how he wins. Robert England is like, no, not my good eye. And Val is like, okay, well, let us go. And he's like, well, okay, I guess you get to go. So they leave on the motorcycle. And as they're riding away, Joey's tramp stamp is very visible. Like, I cannot stress enough how low her jeans are. And this is like logical. They go into town, they go straight to the cops. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, crazy Hicks just killed all of our friends. Sure. Yeah. Let's report this. And the cop immediately pulls out his gun. He's like frazzled. He's harried. He doesn't trust them. He's just waving the gun in their faces.
Like Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
No, I'm going to defend Jeffrey Dean Morgan. JDM did a better job.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is like, I am sick of you Yankees coming down here and talking about Pleasant Valley. And he takes them back to Pleasant Valley, which is revealed to be a cemetery. And the cop is saying things like, these fine souls died at the hands of you northern heathens. And and he just drives off. And so Val and Joey are there just inspecting like a gravestone, which has Robert England's face carved into it. And there's there's a voiceover that explains what the movie was about. 2001 Confederates died here in Pleasant Valley. They were attacked by a group of Union soldiers, killed, and now it's an eye for an eye situation, and the town is going to keep killing Yankees until they've killed 2001 Yankees. And so Joey and Val get back on the motorcycle. They're driving away, and they get got by a barbed wire, like tripwire across the road. Heads fall off, and then Hucklebilly shows up again, grabs their heads. He has like a line. I don't remember what it was.
I
He
don't
says
remember.
something. 2 more for the vengeance. I don't know. And walks away. He starts walking away down the road, and then he like vanishes. He disappears. He fades away. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's anything in this movie that makes any sense. And the part that I wanted to talk about was at this end part, whenever they go and they read the headstone, it sounds very sympathetic to the town. Like it sounds
Everything
like
does,
they were
yeah.
just living in this town, living their own lives, and then the Yankees came in and they just like burned everything down and killed them and murdered them brutally. And it is very sympathetic to it, which makes me very uncomfortable. And it makes me not like the movie, but not just because of that. Like there's just a lot I did not like about this movie. There was a cool death scene in 2000 Maniacs, though, that wasn't repeated in the movie. There was one where they had a barrel roll. So like one of the fun activities they had was a barrel roll, and they brought a guy and he got into the barrel and they were like, we're going to do the barrel roll. And he was like, let me out. And then they put a bunch of nails in the barrel and then they pushed him down the barrel. So the nails just kind of like, did their thing. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting kill. So that's something I liked about
That's like an
2000
Iron
Maniacs.
Maiden.
Yeah. In motion.
Plus. Yeah. Oh. Did you
Yeah.
watch that movie, or did you just
No.
watch clips, or did
I
you just
could
read
not-
descriptions?
I scrolled through the movie on YouTube to watch the deaths because I could not hear the dialogue. It is on YouTube, so if you guys want to try to look it up, some guy has it on YouTube. I think it has like 96 views. Give it another 5. But like, I was trying to understand like what was going on in the movie, but I couldn't hear anything that was happening, and so I was just watching the kills that happened. Like one of the they have one that's like a like a dunk tank.
Yeah.
They have one like that, but it's a giant rock that falls on a girl. So I don't know if that's supposed to be like what happens with Leah.
That's the Southern Belle. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another one where it's they do quarter a guy, but it's a guy and he gets quartered by the horses. And then in another part, they just chop off a girl's. I think you would have liked the scene because she gets her finger cut.
I love seeing women murdered. Yeah.
No, but she gets her finger cut, and the way she's like, no, my hand hurts. I'm bleeding. Help me. And he's like, I'm just going to cut off your finger. And she's like, no, why would you do that? And then she just like stands there while he cuts off her finger. It doesn't try to get away or anything. He's just like slowly sawing it off with like a pocket knife. And then she gets taken to another area and they chop off her limbs. I don't know. Maybe I like the original more.
Should we watch the original?
No, we should not. We should not fucking watch it. Oh my fucking God. I do not want to spend any more time on movies like
so
this.
Was the original,
we will, but I don't
the original
want to.
magic though?
I think it might have been. I don't know. It was weirdly modern, so maybe it's not. Modern for 1965.
I did read the description of that one, and it just said a town celebrating its centennial.
No, they go back in the end, and it is a cemetery.
Well, what the fuck? I don't know. Okay. I'm going to have to watch the original just to like see if I can piece this together more, because at the end of the movie, I was like how, I don't understand.
What?
Like, if they are mad, I could accept vengeance leads to haunting. I could accept that.
Okay.
But what I don't understand is how we are, like, why we're eating people. Like, I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. I get having to kill them to make a eye for an eye, but I don't understand the cannibalism.
I don't understand the cannibalism. And that seems to be like necessary for them. Like the townsfolk are growing like more haggard as the movie goes on. Like they're drawn, they've got dark circles under their eyes. Like they need to eat Yankees, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But like I don't understand. And then follow-up question. There were not 2001 townsfolk in this movie.
They couldn't afford it. I think they only had 300 extras, but it was hard enough to pay for them. There were some crew members that had to be extras because there just wasn't enough people.
I'm just saying, like, plot-wise, how do we explain that? Are we saying those remaining, 970 are
I think
they just weren't riled up about the
vengeance? There's a lot of questions in this movie that I don't think we need answers to. I'm not interested enough to seek those out. I like questions. I like being inquisitive and I like finding things out. This is a movie where I think I'm drawing the line and I'm like, don't need to know more. I'm okay.
So the thing that I am still like hung up on is this movie doesn't glorify the South.
It doesn't. It makes them seem like gross people.
Gross and hicks, and they fuck animals.
That's true.
Like it's all the Southern stereotypes.
But I don't think it paints them like I know that they're the evil ones that are supposed to be haunting the area, but it does give them a sympathetic backstory, which doesn't make sense.
None of it makes sense.
That's a good point.
None of it makes sense. I was trying to decide, like, is this movie a time capsule of like what society was in 2005, or is it making a point? Like, was
there
2005
are better movies in
racist?
2005?
No, that's not what I mean. No, obviously this is not a good movie. I'm just saying, like, is this reflective of broad sentiments in 2005, or were they trying to do something and it either didn't translate to film or we didn't understand it? Like, for example, the town is really racist against Malcolm because he's a black man. But they also made Malcolm like really rude and aggressive. And that feels like a racist stereotype. So like the townsfolk are racist against him, and also the movie is portraying him in a racist way.
Yeah.
So what were we doing there?
I don't think we were doing anything. I think we're giving it too much credit.
I'm not giving it any credit. I am trying to get to the bottom of what was happening.
The Devil's Rejects also came out in 2005, which I have not watched. Hostel came out.
Yeah, so we didn't talk about Eli Roth's role in this movie at all. So while the boys are driving down to Daytona Beach, where they never arrive, they're just driving along, and suddenly there's blood all over the windshield, and it seems like they hit something. And they stop, and there is a hitchhiker with his dog, and he's like, "Oh no, you killed my armadillo!" And the armadillo fully landed in their convertible, and Nelson is in the backseat cradling this dead, open. It's open.
Yeah.
It's an open dead armadillo. And Eli Roth is there, and I didn't recognize him as Eli Roth, and I think it's because I was so distracted by his false facial hair.
Was it false?
It had to have been.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It had to have been. It looked like felt glued to his face.
Yeah, I think that is accurate, but I don't know.
That's the costume department. Okay. Yeah, he's there. He's like, "Oh, I've been tracking that armadillo all day." But really, he's been throwing this armadillo into cars that are passing by trying to hitch a ride, which doesn't seem very effective.
And it's not.
No, it's not. I guess my final question about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Did young Val rewrite his term paper, or did he get expelled?
I guess we'll never know.
This is a bad movie, you guys.
Yeah, don't watch
this one.
Or do watch it. If you heard us talk about it and you were like, you know what, that sounds pretty good. I think it is someone's cup of tea. I think that this tea there is an audience for this tea. This is
Yeah.
not my tea. This is not
my
the kind that
tea.
I like to drink. I do not want it. I never want to taste it again. And I was like viscerally angry when I watched it last night. And which sometimes to me is a sign of a good movie. This is not that. It was not like Eraserhead where I was like, I'm so uncomfortable. I feel like I'm going to die.
No.
This was one, I don't know. I feel like I know that I had watched this movie before, but I forgot about it.
I'm so surprised that you forgot about it. Like, I don't think that I will ever forget this movie. I think that on my deathbed, I'm going to be like,
that one shitty movie I watched.
Do you remember?
And then I'm going to look you straight in the eye and say, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm going to be like, I quartered her. And you're going to be like, what? And I'm going to be like, I quartered her.
And then I'm going to be like, wait a minute. Do I know what you're talking about?
Okay, well, this was this garbage movie. If you can find Dead and Breakfast, watch that instead. And let us know where you found it. And next time, we will be watching a movie called Little Evil, which came out in 2017. And it is a little flick wherein Adam Scott, love and light of my life, marries Evangeline Lilly, total babe, only to discover that her son is maybe the Antichrist. And it looks like it is only available on Netflix, according to justwatch.com, which is where I get all of that info. And additionally, next week, when you are listening to this, we will be on an episode of A Vague Idea.
Yay.
You know him. You love him. Nate Regolia. He's been on this podcast a whole mess of times, most recently on Event Horizon, but he also did our internet series with us. The 28th, our episode will come out. So give that a listen if you are interested. You can find that where you get your podcasts. We will see you next week.
Happy Spookies.
Happy Spookies.